So with Valentine's Day coming up, I'm sure that we're all thinking about romance. Love is in the air. And I'm here today to recommend my all-time favorite romance and some of my favorite books just in general. I've only just recently gotten back into reading, and these are the books that really got me back in. So if you're looking for a little love this Valentine's season, even if it's just, you know, through fictional characters, look no further. Jumping right in, first off we have My Heart and Other Black Holes. This might just be my all-time favorite book. This book literally saved my life. Essentially, this book is about two suicide partners, Azel and Roman, who agreed to make a pact to commit suicide on the same day together because they're too scared to do it alone. But then through the process of getting to know each other and planning out their suicide, they slowly begin to fall for each other. You gotta read for the rest. This is one of the healthiest relationships, albeit in a very unhealthy situation. If your love language is quality time or words of affirmation or acts of service, this book is for you. There aren't many actual just really in-your-face romance scenes because this book mainly tackles the topic of suicide and mental health, which I think is very important for actually learning about who these characters are, but I think that just makes the romance part of the book all the more better because we as readers can see how important it is for both of these people to meet each other and to see the value of each other and to be able to use that to save each other. It also has that kind of I love you but I hate everyone else feel, so if you're into that, this book is definitely for you. There's one long paragraph that Azel says to Roman, and it makes me cry every single time I read it. When you get there, you will know exactly what I mean. I would say have extra caution with this book because I know it does touch on sensitive topics. Maybe read some synopses so that you can sort of get a feel of how the story is gonna go. But aside from that, I think that the sensitive, delicate topics that are talked about and explored are tackled in such a thoughtful way, and the author, Jasmine Warga, did such an amazing job of painting the picture of who these two people are aside from the premise of them wanting to commit suicide. Read this. Next on the list, we have Orange. I know it's a manga, but hey, it's still a book. The basic premise is this new student moves to the countryside in Japan, and this friend group basically takes him in, but then they get letters from their future selves asking them to do certain things because that new student who just moved in is going to commit suicide. So basically it's this effort to use letters from the future that they were sent from themselves to save their friend. So if you're someone who's less about just straight up romance and more about the actual plot, I think this series would really be good for you. While the premise is really heavy and the topics that are talked about are very heavy, the story almost feels really light in a way that it's not actually really hard to digest or difficult to get through. But I think that's what this book does really well. It takes the topic of suicide and presents it in a way that's not just traumatizing for a reader, rather it tackles it in a way that's really realistic. There is a cause behind the romance, and it shows us that really there is only one chance for us to express our feelings. Next, we have The Red Queen. Now, hear me out. I know this book might not necessarily be categorized as romance. It's sort of also thriller, mystery, fantasy. But for me, the romance was definitely the best part of the book. Essentially, Red Queen takes place in a world where everything is separated by blood color. So there's two different blood colors. There's the reds, people with red blood, and they're just normal people. And then the silvers have silver blood, and they have powers as well, and a lot of them look down on reds. Mira's the girl with red blood, and she is discovered to have special powers, which is groundbreaking because she has red blood, but she has superpowers, and that's not supposed to happen. So then the silvers take her in. She gets to be with the two sons of the king. You know what happens from there. Love triangle happens. It's a lot of betrayal, a lot of trauma bonding in the second and third books. It's just the love triangle playing out, but it ends in betrayal. That's all I'll say. I know what you're all gonna think since I brought out this bad boy. I'm tired of pretending this book is trashy because you know what? It is a little bit, but mostly it's not. If you haven't yet heard about this book or watched the terrible movie adaptation that Netflix put out of it, Love and Gelato is about a girl named Lena who, after her mom's premature passing due to cancer, goes to Italy over the summer, and she discovers her mom's old diary there. So she meets all the other kids her age in that area, including Ren, who is like the love interest, and yeah, they embark on a little journey together to find out more about her mom's life and also more about herself. The movie adaptation, my main critique of it is that it cut out so many of the most important scenes because it didn't actually add to the plot, but they were so important. It's what gave the book life in the first place. I think what this book did really well is that it has sort of multiple layers within it, including Lena and Ren's relationship, because it's something that sort of comes up out of the periphery. It's definitely one of those just friends to lovers, or like, you know, like boy next door type of feeling. I also love the concept of the dress. You will know what I'm talking about if you read it. Last but not least, the Cool Prince series. Again, I know this is not necessarily a romance genre book, but similar to the Red Queen, I would say that the romance in this book is the highlight. Honestly, I just read this, so I'm a little bit late to the party. If you haven't heard about this very famous book talk series, The Cruel Prince is based in a world of fairies. Not fairies like Tinkerbell, but kind of. Jude is one of the few humans living in this world, and while humans in fairy are usually treated really badly, like servants and stuff, because they don't have magic like fairies, Jude is treated really well because she's the daughter of like a very high-ranking general, and so she's raised sort of along with the fairy nobility and like the children of like important people at fairy, including the youngest son of the king, who is Cardan, and he's the Cruel Prince in question. This is, in a nutshell, enemies to lovers, amazingness. I would say the first book is good, but the second and third book knock it out of the park, especially Queen of Nothing. I would say this is the best book of the series. It's just interesting to sort of see how two people go from hating each other to understanding each other to working with each other to, you know, the last one. Say it with me, falling in love. I will say that this is a rare example of enemies to lovers done well, not toxic, not like terrible. While I think the first book is hard to read at some points, and it's like just, you don't want to support the couple, but eventually it grows to become trust and love. And with that, those are my book recommendations for romance books. The Dark Artifices series. Don't even get me started on the Clockwork Chronicle. Honestly, just anything by Cassandra Clare. That woman's amazing. If you want more manga series recommendations, Haru Ride, and then the Red River manga series. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you guys like these book videos and you want me to do more of them. And for all my single Pringle sisters out there, another year around the sun of not needing a man and only needing fictional men. Bye everyone!